One main world, one creation dream.
So objectives for this class, we are going to do some specific things. We are going to finish the basic plugins. I know that that was not this original schedule. We moved the schedule a little bit because it's going to be nice to finish this part by taking our time. So probably we are not going to take all the topics, but at least I'm going to advance in 3 different topics, okay? So we got basic plugins part 2. Yesterday we advanced with all the plugins, but we left a part that I prefer to let for this class. Then we are going to learn how to do the basic systems, how to create some useful functions. And if we get the time, we are going to learn today how to do the upgrade and downgrade for the blocks. If we don't, we are going to do the next class, okay? Now, basic plugins, let's start with it, okay? All right, let me see here. Yesterday, we covered all the different plugins that are just highlighted in white. Today, we are going to learn how to do the basics for those that are actually in yellow, okay? So, let's enter to our map and let me show you some magic here, okay? So remember, by the plan, the game plan, we decide to create for our monsters, or for our classes, our heroes, we are going to have like different items, right? We got items for skills. One of the items was the items that go in the hand, but the passive skill is going to be more like a buff that you can use on this one. Just give me a second, I'm putting here a clock and alarm. Just a minute, guys. Let's put it on 6:50, 55. Around the 6:50, I'm going to take 5 minutes. Okay, guys, because I need to do something special right now. All right, so probably you are going to hear the alarm on that one, and I'm going to tell you, hey guys, give me a time, but it's not going to take that much time. It's going to be at max 5 minutes, okay? So, coming back to the class, every one of the different classes are going to have some specific items. First, they are going to have a weapon in the hands, a main gun. They are going to have a skill, guys, and we are going to have a passive skill and also a model, okay? So we are going to start with that. Yesterday we learned how to create the basics. Now I'm going to show you really quick how to create the basics for the skill. Remember, just the base, because you need to improve with programmation and with other things, but right now you can do it just by this, okay? So, sorry guys. Okay, it seems that I'm going to get flu, but okay. So, how do you create the basic skills? So, for creating the active skills, just access here, hit a new, and hit create, okay? When you hit create, remember here you can add a new completely item, and you are going to hit misc, okay? So, that depends of your hero, but you have to put the name of the skill here. You don't need to put the skill at the top of it, but as an example, I will do a skill that will be slam, okay? I'm going to hit the floor and I'm going to create an explosion. So just put the information here and just do something simple that does damage on an AoE. AoE in games means area of effect, okay? It means that it's going to do damage around the player. Remember to pick a model for it. Once more, for my game, I always choose the colors related with the classes. So as an example, the color for the main character that is one of the main characters that is a striker is green, so I choose always something green, okay? Remember, in the minicamp number, I don't remember the number, but it's the minicamp for the school simulator in the class number 6 and the class number 5. I show you detailed parts about how you can search for more icons and how you can change the icons for any other icon that is hidden inside the miniverse. So remember to check that minicamp so you will be able to get more icons than the ones that you see here, okay? And also remember that in the drive that you can find on the description of this video, or if, sorry, I think the drive is not in the description, but you will find it on the tools channel inside the Discord channel for the minicamp. You will find also a folder with a lot of items, a lot of icons, so you can use those numbers to change your models for your skills, okay? So just hit model and choose an adequate skill. Of course, right now I'm not going to take the time to search for one icon, sorry. And the most important things for this, apart from the graphical part, the appearance one, is that you're going to set the max amount to 1, and the skills, you are going to hit add a new skill. So on here you have like different ways to create basic skills. As an example, in here you can switch the blocks that are on the floor for another thing, or you can add a new block to the floor. With this you can do damage in area, or damage like a beam in front of the player. With this you can push the players away, like doing a knockback system. With this you can give buffs to the player, temporary buffs. With this you can create creatures. With this you can heal the players, and with this you can shoot some projectiles, okay? Anyway, if you want to have more options than the one that you can find here, what you can do is to create your own skill. So for doing that, just hit on here in buff up, and remember, yesterday class we create something that is going to be the dummy buff, okay? That is not going to do anything, but will allow us to use the item, and later we will be able to set up a custom actions for the item just by using scripts or using triggers, okay? So on here you can set up the time or the duration of the buff. As we are going to use just some custom dummy, you don't need to put any kind of time. Just be sure that it's more than 0, because if you put a 0 here, the buff is not going to be eliminated by any chance, okay? So that means that it's going to be a permanent buff, okay? Now, let me read you very quick here. Oh, sorry, hello there, I just forgot what was your question. So please repeat your question, hello there. Yes, you can do whatever time you want it, there is no problem with it, hello there, okay? Alright, so I think I resolved your question, but if you want more explanation, just let me know, okay? Now, recommended time to play your maps, the amount of time that even Miniworld recommends is in between 4 to 8 minutes at max. Even Miniworld recommended at max doing for 6 minutes, that you can play for 6 minutes, but that's on you, okay? Alright, so once you change the duration, you have more options here. The rate is how many percent of the times this is going to work. If you put 100, always is going to be executed. If you put 50%, it's going to be executed only the half of the time, so you can play with it. I always keep it on 100%, okay? Damage type, you can choose, as an example, if this is going to do some damage, you can choose if you want to do Chaos, Potion, Burn, or whatever you want it for damage the players. Remember, with this you can filter the different armors that the player has. Okay. Now, the damage is the amount of damage that this is going to deal whenever you use it. So with this you can do quick attacks, and this is how you are going to use it. Once more, skill type, you can choose no target or target pointing. Unless you are dealing with blocks, I didn't recommend to use target pointing, just keep it on no target. And max target, we already explained how it works yesterday. Also, we explained the cooldown and all these options, okay? The only one that I didn't explain is range type. So in range type, you can select single target. That means that it's going to affect only to one player, and that depends on this. So as an example, you use same team is going to affect probably to the player that uses this. But if you use different team, it's going to affect the player of the other team, okay? Now, Beam is going to be literally like a Goku Kamehameha. It's going to be like the player projects a line on it, and all the players that are in the area and just in front of the player are the ones that you are going to deal with it. So, when you select Beam, you can choose the length, that means how many blocks is going to travel that line, or that effect, and the width is how many blocks around the player you can choose that, okay? So you can increase the time for that line. And area is the easiest one, is like literally selecting all around an area, so you can create like kind of an explosion with it as an example, okay? So As always, as we are going to do a mel skill, that is going to be just set up by triggers, what you can do is just put single target, and that is going to work, okay? So remember, you have a consumption type. You can choose to reduce the item durability, to reduce player hunger level, to have an armor, or to use the new stamina bar, okay? And here you can choose how much. If you put hunger level at 0, you don't need to consume anything for that, okay? And just save it, and just add it into your game. So I have already some skills here, a spoiler skill, a fun ramp, and a John Doerr slam, okay? As you see, you are going to have the same setup that I just showed you, but some of them are going to use directly the ability to just add you directly the skill, okay? So that's going to be for active skills. Remember, for be able to use the active skills, just create a trigger that detects when a player use that specific item, okay? Now, for passive skills, remember that when you play the game, like this, and when you choose your hero, as an example, we are going to choose, I don't know, this one, you are going to have the passive skill right up here, and it's telling you what it's going to do. So, as an example, this can be set up also. We are going to learn to do a basic passive skill. Remember, the one I'm going to make is completely a custom spell for telling you something, a custom skill. But you can use normal and basic troubleshooting, okay? So the one I want to teach you how to do is Corpulent. Corpulent, what it's going to do is, it's going to allow the player to push other player just by hitting, okay? So whenever the player has that skill, hits another player, that player is going to be pushed away, okay? That's how it works. I'm going to teach you how to do that basic one, okay? So for creating a basic skill for your player, but the passive one, what you are going to do is just access to the plugin editor, and you are going to do a status, okay? We are going to start creating new completely status, okay? Just hit created. I already got mine here, so I'm not going to create it from 0. But information that I put here is just the name, as you see, and the description, okay? So this is going to give me collision knockback, okay? You can choose whatever sound and whatever model and whatever icon you have here. If it's a positive status, try to use a green color in it, okay? Now, as you see, there is like just giving me this effect, like particles around when I got this skill. You can choose whatever you want, okay? In effects, I choose this one, but that is like a secondary. You can choose whatever here. Yeah, here you have a lot of different effects that you can use. As an example, if you want a player to climb walls, just select this one. Or if you want a player to recover, there is a lot of options here that you can experiment with. But once you finish this, okay, just be sure that you place it in positive status and don't remove after that, okay? Because if you put remove after that, or just like off, whenever your player gets killed, it's going to be removed, okay? So that's very important, guys, okay? All right. All right. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. I'm going to check later the Discord channel and I'm going to answer to you, Basi, okay? Now, guys, once we got this, okay, once we got the basic information for your skill, just add it into the game. Once more, I already got it right here. And remember, in your case, you need to hit enter game to be able to see it in game, okay? Once you finish that, let me show you very quickly how you can create a custom effect for it, okay? So in this example, once more, we are going to do a corpulent effect, okay? So we are going to start messing with triggers. For this, we are going to create different folders, okay? So as you see on here, are going to be the folders that I use for my game. And so right now we are just going to create the trigger set. So create the first trigger set. You are going to call it main systems, okay? This specific folder is going to handle all the controls for your game, okay? It's going to be the brain for your game. Once you create that folder, you are going to create another folder just by hitting here on trigger sets. And the second one is going to be named building stage, okay? And here you are going to put all the triggers that are related with the building stage inside your game. It's going to make like directly the name that you have for it is very explicit. And on there you are going to put all the triggers related to avoid to build, to upgrade your different things, and a lot of things, okay? And then you are going to create a new trigger set, and you are going to put the name of combat stage. As you see, it's just creating the names. Right now we are just organizing the project, so don't do anything apart from that for now until I give you another instruction. It's just for you to have all the information, okay? Once you have those three, you are going to create another folder that is upgrade blocks, okay? And here we are going to save the system for upgrading the blocks. Then we are going to create another folder. Remember guys, for creating the folders, just hit here and where it says new trigger set, and you're going to put the name of downgrade blocks, okay? So downgrade blocks, it's going to be for the second part of the system that is going to be reduce the level. And finally, but not least, you are going to create ones that says useful functions, okay? Useful functions is going to save a lot of useful and common things that will help you out to have a better map and to get some things automated, okay? So just confirm. And once you have all those folders created, we are going to start with our passive. So just expand this part that says useful functions. And when you are in useful functions, scroll down and create a new trigger, okay? The name of the trigger, in my case, is passive corpulate, okay? Remember, probably you are going to have a different item or different skill. In my case, I'm just going to give you a demonstration about how to create a passive skill, okay? So remember how it's going to work. It's very easy. Whenever a player that has that trigger, or has not that trigger, that the status hits or collide with another player, that player is going to be just push it away from some blocks, okay? So how do you do that, okay? I know that a lot of you like to do knockbacks, but you don't really know how to do it. So we are going to add a new event. The event is going to be player and collision, okay? When you add that, it's going to give you those different things. It's going to be players in trigger event position, target, and creature in target event, okay? So if you keep it like it is, it's going to push also creatures. We don't want that, okay? So we are going to add the next things. First, we need to be sure that only when you have the status is going to work, when you are going to have the buff. So what we are going to do is just add a new one. Then you are going to go to players and determine player status, okay? So when a players in trigger event, yes, have the status that you just created. In my case, the name of that I put to that status is corpulent. That is going to be the passive skill. When you got corpulent, okay? And very important guys, that is a trick that I always teach you. Remember that this is going to have a creature here, and also you are going to have a player. So to avoid to be executed also in creatures, you need to do this next trick. You add to check the player attribute, that is going to be the max life, okay? So if you put player attribute on there, it's going to check the max life for just players. And of course, as the players and the creatures are going to have different life systems, it's not going to detect creatures. And vice versa, if you want just to check a creature, use the same but with creatures, okay? So you are going to hit here once more, you go to players and you select player attribute. And if you were just looking for creatures, just select creatures attribute. In this case, it's going to be player, you select it, you add it, and the options, you can select here which player. Very important, we have two kinds of players. The player that executes the action, that is going to be target player, and the ones that is going to be, player in trigger event is the player that has the skill, that has the ability, the one that hits, and target is the player that is being hit, okay? So you are going to select the target player, and you need to confirm that max HP is greater than 0, okay? And once you got that, the final thing is to be sure that you are not going to play just push your teammates, because it's going to be very upset. Imagine that you are just in the corner and another player just gets with you, it just hit you by mistake, and you are going to be pushed away from the arena, so we don't want that. How do you do that? Just go to player, determine player team, and you are going to select the next thing. The players in trigger event, no. So remember, players team, it's the player in trigger events, it's not the same as target players in the event. And that's it. And now you can add whatever action you wanted, as an example, when you collide, okay? How do you do for moving the player? I got a lot of options here, but actually you only need this one, okay? This is something extra that I put on. So the first one is going to be make target players move towards, and it's going to have an spherical coordinates, okay? That's the one that is going to do the knockback, guys, just for you to know. So very important, pay attention to this part, because this is going to be a lot useful. You can use this for creating knockbacks in any game, okay? So just scroll down here, and you are going to select player, okay? And when you got player, you are going to move to this part that says make player move towards this direction, okay? Just add it, and you are going to have a lot of confusion options here. I know it, but don't worry, I'm going to explain it. The first part is who is going to be pushed. The second is where is going to be pushed. So where is going to be the final direction where it's going to be pushed, and then how fast is going to be pushed, okay? So that's very important. Okay, let me check here. All right, so welcome Vincel, welcome to the class. I see that you're coming, and welcome Tuan. So Tuan, probably you need to restart or refresh your connection. Just give me a second here, refresh. Now, guys, check. In this one, we put target players, because remember that we are going to push the players that collide with us. And this is going to be the most important part. So just put a 3 on the end before starting. And on here, you are going to have to do the next thing. You have to put here in the center, and you are going to select facing spherical coordinates. Okay, this is kind of confusing, but let me explain a little bit later, okay? So in here you have to select which player is going to execute the action, and here you have to choose an action, okay? So we are going to select here, function, and select player, okay? Once we select player, we are going to have more options here. So we are going to choose the player that has the skill, okay? So it's going to be player in trigger event, okay? No more options on there. You also have target player, but we are going to select players. Then in the middle, it's the tricky part, is where we are going to get information. So just go to player and select player facing angle. This is going to check where the player is looking at, and it's going to take that to execute the action, okay? So once you got that, select players in trigger event, and that's going to be the actual facing, okay? So that means where I'm looking, okay? And the final one is at which altitude I'm looking, okay? So if I put a 5, it's almost going to be just in front of the player. If I put 90, it's going to be up. If I put 45, it's like going to be halfway in the way, okay? So if you copy the same information I got here, it's going to work fine, so don't worry for that. And then I just add a sound, and I just do an effect, so don't worry for that. You already know how to do that. I'm not going to explain that to get more time to show you different things. But as you see, deal with basic skills. With basic skills is going to be very easy. Okay. Once more, I got my basic skills here. So as an example, I got 3 different. Corpulent, that is going to be that the one that is coded. I have healthy, that is going to be not coded. It's just healing the player every some seconds, that you can do it without having to set up any trigger. And agility, that just gives an extra speed of 15%, okay? So right now we also have the basic skills working. Now we left a part that is going to be create the hero recipe. By working, that means that when you receive the hero recipe, it's going to work, it's going to do all the executions without having a problem. And also we left the model part, okay? So to switch the model for your players, okay? All right. Okay, I have like 3 cats in the front of my roof that are fighting right now. So they are like just fighting around, but there are big cuts. All right, so now, okay, so now that we've finished this, let me show you how you can switch the model for your players, okay? So right now you can add a buff, but there is a problem, guys. When you add a buff that changes the model of the player, that has most of the times I do that process, but sometimes I want to do something extra, and look at this, okay? The good thing about not using that is that when you're using my system, the system that I'm using right now, your creature or your player will have like the items in the hand. If you use the normal one, you cannot see the items in the hand of the player, okay? So how do we do that, okay? So we are going to go to triggers, and in useful functions, I don't have it in useful functions, but you are going to put it right here in useful functions, okay? Sorry, on here. What you are going to do is to create a new trigger for each one of your heroes, okay? So in my case, I have 3 different heroes. I have Thor, I have Loki, and I have Ella here. So we are going to choose Thor, okay? So just create a new trigger and put the name of your hero, okay? Very important. I'm going to put it like this to be more specific, but remember, if you have another different like hero here, put the name of it, okay? And the actions are very simple. Just hit here, go to player, and select here obtains an item, okay? Let's obtain props, that is this one. In conditions, you need to select which prop is going to receive. So just go to items and select determine item type. And on there you have 2 options. Just keep the first one as it is, and the second one is going to be the item that we create on the last class to be able to select that hero. In my case, I have those 3 items here. Of course, I'm going to select the hero that I'm working on currently, that is the hero keeper. And the action is just that simple as players and change player's appearance, okay? And under you will have a menu right here in template library, which allows you to change how the player looks, okay? So it's going to take a little bit of time. Sometimes it takes more time, but in here you can see that you have a lot of different options. Also, you can choose even items to change the model of the player, so you can do a lot with this as an example. But also you have your miniature library, okay? So never choose main library, just choose current map. Remember that you have to have your icons here, and then there you see I got the different like heroes, so I'm going to choose just my hero, and that's it. All right, so remember you are going to create one of them for each one of the heroes, okay? So check, when I select the fielder, I got the model Ella. When I select a striker, I get the model Loki, okay? So that's very important, guys. With this, whenever you receive that item, your hero is going to change the model too, okay? All right. So now, guys, we almost get this part over. We only left a part, and is that remember that we got these recipes, but those recipes, remember, is one for each one of your heroes, are not doing anything right now, okay? To just receive it, but nothing happens. Now we are going to complete the trigger that we were made yesterday, okay? So to be able to do this, just you are going to hit on your recipe, you are going to hit in edit, okay? And once you got it in edit, you are going to have this option that says partial triggers, and you are going to create a new trigger that says choose hero. Remember yesterday we started creating this, but just in case, I'm going to show you everything from the beginning. So the event for this one is when this formulation is complete. This is going to just be executed when the task is completed, when the player creates that object through the store. So what you are going to do is, now that you add the event, we are going to at first delete the item, because remember, when you create a recipe, regularly after that, your items are going to be in the inventory, so we don't want the player to have that inventory working. So what we are going to do right now is just erase that, okay? So how we are going to do to erase those items? Just hit them here on the plus symbol, and under you are going to have more options, guys, okay? So on here you have one that says plier, and you have the option that says remove item. Just hit on there, and it's going to ask you to select which item you want to delete and how much amount. So erase for plier in trigger event, you are going to delete one of the item on the item type in the event. Okay, that's very important. I got it here, is the way that you have to do it, guys. That's very important. Okay, now the next part that you have to do is to set up a variable. Okay, this is going to be too important because this is going to tell the game which hero we have select. Okay, not for our script part, of course we can do it by checking the items that the player have, but it's going to be much complicated at the end. So what you are going to do, just select action here, and once you add an action, you are going to select here an option that says assign. In assign, you are going to select value setup. Okay, once you select value setup, you are going to have this interface. So you are going to select variable, and you are going to hit to create a new variable, guys. Okay, so the variable you are going to choose it as number 1. Okay, and that is going to be the first variable. All right, so you are going to select hero choose, you are going to create that variable, and you are going to set it up as number 1. Then you are going to create another one, and we are going to start assigning some variables from your heroes. So the first one that we are going to assign is item time setup. Okay, and just give me a second, I need to reduce the volume here because it's too big and so I wasn't able to hear you guys. And you're going to have this option. Okay, so what you're going to select is in the first point, guys, here. You're going to select player's private variable. Okay, so first selecting that, just go to function library, guys. Once you are in there, you are going to select a player private variable, and on there you are going to have more options. You are going to select players in trigger event, and you are going to create a new private variable. So as you see, I got all of those. You can create it, all of them. The one that we are going to use right now is hero weapon. This is going to be the main weapon, and I'm going to explain you later why. But you are going to select that one, okay? You are going to create hero weapon, and you are going to select the main weapon for the hero that you are creating right now, okay? So in my case, a monger is going to be the first one that is going to be for that hero. Just save it, copy and paste that specific action, and you are going to have the second one. The second one is just the same right here, but we are going to change and we are going to create a new private variable that is going to be hero skill, and you can select the skill, the active skill here. So remember, if you have more skills, as an example in your game, your player has 4 or 5 skills, you need to add all of those items here because it's going to be the setup for the inventory for your player when it's in playable mode, in combat mode, okay? All right, so yeah, I just activate that. All right, and now, guys, we are going to add the status, okay? All right, so what you are going to do with this, we are going to add a new one. We are going to add on here player, and you are going to add a status, okay? Obtain effect. And on obtain effect, you are going to go to triggers player event, and you are going to select obtain corpulent, okay? So remember, this is going to change depending of your map. In my case, it's players in trigger event, obtain effect, corpulent. Once more, select wherever you effect passive skill you select for that specific hero. In my case, it's going to be corpulent. Remind true, and remember, for having a permanent trigger or a permanent buff, just like 0 in here, okay? With this, we already have like set up like different features for the future when we go to the combat system, okay? Now, we are going to have some extra things that are going to be like the stats for the player. So that is going to be very important. So what is going to be the most important thing? Remember that we, at the beginning of the class, we set up like different stats for each one of your heroes. So the first one that we are going to set up is the amount of bullets that the player will have. So add here, just go here, assigned, and you are going to assign a new value setup, okay? When you got it, you are going to have these options. Remember that the one that we are going to choose is going to be different for each player. So just select here, player, okay? All right, so when you select player here, you are going to have once more different options. Select players here, okay? Now you select players in private variable, and you expand that, and you're going to select players in trigger events, and you are going to create this variable, okay? This is going to measure how many bullets with the snowballs your player is going to have, okay? Now, just player select max bolts here. Let me put this interview so you are going to see much better the screen, okay? All right, so select players max bolts and set up the amount of bolts that the player is going to have in the future, okay? So if you put at 10 here, you're going to have 10. All right. So now you are going to see that you have this option too. Now what we are going to change is the status. Remember that we are going to have different stats. We are going to have movement speed, max HP, and current HP, okay? So we are going to set up that. Okay, so what we are going to do right now is that we are going to just hit setup, right? And we are going to set up an attribute, okay? So how do you do that? Go to players and select attribute settings, okay? So the first one that we are going to set up is the movement speed. For this, just hit players and trigger event, and in here you can choose the different options. Select movement speed, okay? You're going to choose the movement speed up to 7, all right? If this is the case for my slow hero, remember that 10 is the normal speed that you are going to have by default. So this player is going to be a little bit slower than normal players, okay? Now we are going to set up the life. So just copy and paste here and edit, okay? So this time you are going to change the max HP. That's going to be the maximum amount of life. And you are going to change that for 125. In my case, in your situation, it's going to be different. Remember that this is the defensive player. So the defensive player is going to have 25 more points of life because it's going to be more stronger, more resistant. So I just put that number on there. Just copy and paste, and the second one is the actual life, okay? So changing the max life will change just the max life. You need to adjust also the HP, the current one, okay? So how do you do that? Just change on here and select current HP, okay? When you change to current HP, select to 125, just the same value of the max HP, okay? And with that, you have your first hero, okay? Very important, you need to create all the trigger back for the other heroes, okay? So, as an example, I got here another one that this is going to be the fielder. And the fielder here is going to have, just as you see, the same options. All right, so just give me a second, players. Okay, guys, sorry for that. All right, so guys, in this case, you see that there are just the same things, the same different things that you got here. All right, But as you see, it's just information change. So instead of having the same gun, you are going to have a different main gun, a different skills, a different buff, a different amount of bullets, and a different speed for each one of your different classes. Okay, of course you're going to have a lot of them, but for all of them it's just the same, or you are going just to change that information. Okay, so remember to have that. With this, you will be able already to be able to create your map. Okay, your classes are going to work fine. So guys, sorry, this small chair is kind of difficult to handle. Sometimes I just feel like I get like, I don't know, like it doesn't fit well. Okay, so let's continue with this, guys. All right, so right now you will be able to create fully customizable classes here, and you have the model and you have everything. Okay, so very important, guys, you will have that already, but as we haven't created yet the combat system, you are not going to see any other change more than the stats and the passive skill. We don't have the items yet. Okay, we have to do that later. So what we are going to do is to create some basic item systems. Okay, so we are going to start with the script. Thank you so much for watching this chapter. Remember, next chapter will be in the channel, so just check the next part of the video. It's the part number 2. Bye bye.